Hello, everybody. It's Andy from Nerds on the Run, coming at you once again with a little bit more E3 news. I hope I haven't been eaten alive in the comments from the many, many commenters that I interact with, but I totally forgot Cyberpunk in my Xbox Bethesda video. I said I'd save the best for last, and I really saved it for last. So the Cyberpunk announcement, they showed some excellent gameplay. It's gonna be probably the only RPG, the only game I'm playing when it comes out. And yeah, they announced that it's coming out on April 16th of 2020. So we finally got a release date locked in. They had an excellent, sharp presentation with Keanu Reeves in the game and in person. So that was really cool. I there's not much to say other than look forward for that one. I'm going to try not to look at too much else for that game before it comes out to not spoil myself on too much. But I've got a lot of content for Nintendo to get to, so I apologize, Cyberpunk. I'm so glad that it's going to be most likely my game of the year, pending some of this stuff that we're going to talk about right now. So let's get some things out of the way with Nintendo. They came at us with quite a lot of information. Some of this stuff is including information from the Treehouse events that Nintendo does after their directs. So to start with Smash, Smash is coming at us with excellent content. The hero from Dragon Quest is going to be in there, and he looks like an interesting character because of one caveat. I was initially super upset. Well, I'm being dramatic, but I didn't need another sword fighter in this game. There's so many sword fighters in Smash. I didn't know you needed a sword to be in that club. And I should talk. Most of my mains are those sword fighters, but I like variety. I like variety. So the thing that makes him interesting is the hero does have a spell select that kind of appears down by his percentage. So he's got some of those goofy caveats that a lot of characters have come up with. And each color that you rotate between the 8 available colors of that fighter is like a different hero, a different protagonist, I believe, from Dragon Quest. So that's really cool. I do think that character could be interesting, and I'm hopeful that if he's like leans more into the spells and has some stuff he can do with his sword, as opposed to being a sword fighter that just does a little bit of magic, I think that would be interesting. Banjo Kazooie, my God, it's real, and I'm so glad. That's how that's where I got it all started, folks. Banjo Kazooie for Nintendo 64 was one of my very first. I played games before that with help from my family members and stuff because I was too small. But Banjo was my first game alone, a game that I got for my birthday, and I adore it still to this day. So Banjo Kazooie is in Smash. Definitely gonna scratch up on my Smash skills pretty soon, so I can be prepared for this fall. I believe is when Banjo comes to have him as my new main. Comes with a cool level as well. All the fighters and expansion contents come with a fighter and a level. And this one looks to be like the Spire Mountain with the bridge that leads into Gruntilda's, or whatever the witch's name is, or her mouth. So I don't know if the fighting takes place on the bridge or on the spire, or if the level kind of rotates and you have to move. I prefer a stationary level, if I'm honest, but we'll see. I'm really happy about that. So yeah, I can't wait. The Bear and the Bird are back, and I love it. Dragon Quest 11. I don't know this the S Ultimate, whatever all the subtitles are. I don't know. I'm not a Dragon Quest guy, but it's coming out September 27th. So that's going to be cool for those of you that are JRPG fans. And if there are any Easy Ally subscribers out there, somebody's making a lot of Don bucks because Doug Bowser made some Bowser jokes. So he's our new guy that's the replacement for Reggie. Nobody can truly replace Reggie, but this guy seems like a really chill guy. Seems like he fits the energy well. So I'm happy about it. I think he did a good job with the presentation. Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of the big ones. I played the heck out of Dark Moon. I played the heck out of the first one on GameCube. And I believe in my predictions video I said I would really be looking forward to some of the things that happened in this one. Turns out one of my hopes came true. It's not chapter based. It's a full open explorable world. I say open. It's all within a hotel, but the setup for it is He could get, I was thinking, how are they going to get Luigi to get suckered into this? Is he just going to be, he's clearly not going to be brave in this one. It wouldn't be funny if he was. So he seems to have gotten invited on a all expenses vacation with Mario and Peach and Toad. I don't know why he wasn't suspicious that the dogs were ghosts already, even when the hotel was pretty and nice looking. But the hotel very quickly goes from pretty and nice looking to poltergeist infested, and so the poltergeist G00 is the new vacuum. The G00 for goo because it can create a gooigi. He looks like a big old slimy snot version of Luigi that can squeeze through grates and manipulate himself to fit through spaces and stuff like that. So, and then it looks like it's kind of a Joy-Con detachable mode where you could then do couch co-op with Gooigi. There's also an online multiplayer with the Scare Scraper, which is similar to the online that existed in the 3DS version in Dark Moon. But this looks super interesting. There's like different colored Luigis in that one. So. And depending on which character, how many players there are. And he's got some interesting tools. So the poltergust, his new poltergust can create the goo Luigi, obviously, to explore separate areas. It can do a slam, which is like kind of good for combos. You kind of grab a ghost by the tail and then use him kind of as like a flail or a mace, which is awesome. There's a plunger, which you can use to, looks like ghosts will grab objects to either throw at you or shields to block themselves. Looks like you can grab and it can also grab their items away from them. And it can also be used to explore the environment, pull things and loosen things and destroy things in the environment. And then there's also a kind of a burst. I forget what they call that one, but there's like a burst for the jetpack. I thought I'd make one without you doing this to me, Clock, you sneaky guy. That's okay. We'll just let it go this time. So I thought the burst thing was like a ventilation release of pressure from the vacuum that would kind of blow out, and then Luigi sort of pops up and it clears ghosts away from him, sort of for crowd control. And it looks like it can be used sort of. There's not a jump in this game. It's a very traditional sort of exploring adventure game for those of you that have played other entrances into the franchise before. So this can be used as sort of a boost to jump in certain ways, it looks like, for exploration or for avoiding damage or attacks. Witcher 3 port coming out. That's pretty cool. I do love CD Projekt Red, as I made hopefully clear at the beginning of this video. But, it looks like it's going to have some considerable graphical modifications for it to run on the Switch, which is fine. And maybe if these rumors about Switch Pro, Switch Lite, we'll talk about that in a second. But Witcher's coming out. It runs Skyrim, kind of the special edition, but kind of not. It runs that fine. So I could imagine this is a fair bit more challenging than that. We'll see. I do think once the Switch Pro comes out, whatever that is going to be, that'll definitely help. We did not hear anything about the Switch Pro or the Switch Lite or whatever those iterations of the Switch parent or Generation 2 is going to be. So that's okay. I mean, they don't want to slow down their sales momentum, and I understand that. But I have Switcher 3 already on my Switcher 3. Switcher. Why didn't they call it Switcher 3? Because that would be stupid, Andy. I do hope that it's good, though, for those of you that haven't played it yet. It's the complete edition, so it does come with all the DLC, Blood and Wine and Hearts of Stone. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is looking pretty tight. I did not get to see the Treehouse gameplay from that, unfortunately, because I was busy with work and stuff. But I'm going to definitely check that out later, and I think you should too. Not too much to say about that other than looking forward to getting alternate costumes and skins for all my heroes and putting different mixes and matches of new Avengers and classic Avengers and secret Avengers and X-Men and X-Women, and I'm just really pumped. I'm happy that that's coming back. It's a good boost of nostalgia, and I'm surprised that I'm as excited about it as I am, because Ultimate Alliance 2 was kind of meh. So I'm getting my hopes up without cause, but I think it could be fun. I think it could be a lot of fun. So let's talk. We're going to do a couple deep dives here about two different games, Link's Awakening and Animal Crossing. I know Animal Crossing is not everybody's cup of tea, but it should be your cup of tea. Please start drinking tea with that one. It's a great game, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. So Link's Awakening first, okay? Link's Awakening, really, really amazing remake of the original. Has this kind of, they're calling it like a clay diorama style to it. And I think that's super cute. It just looks very, very refreshing and fun. Um, it's got sort of a um, enough of an appeal that I'm hoping that the Capcom other sister games, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, get remade as well. Maybe I'm asking a lot here, and I know Nintendo wouldn't necessarily want to sell themselves short. Maybe as one game, maybe Oracle of Ages and Seasons can be made as a single, even if they're sort of kind of not separate game worlds, because that would be very hard to logically make those worlds fit together. But if it was one game where you did sort of an adventure in one place and then an adventure in the other, and then you could kind of come together to do the combined adventure like you do with the old cartridges. That would be cool. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, though. I hope that there's room for that down the road. This remake of Link's Awakening does have sort of this cute. So it's isometric again, like the normal top-down Zeldas. It's got this tilt shift kind of to help the landscape scroll, which used to be in standard, 4:3 ratio, maybe not even that on the Game Boy screen. Now it's in widescreen, so got this cool tilt shift. Has sort of a ethereal kind of haze for sort of a mysterious dreamlike quality around the edges of the screen. It's got the color dungeon back in it again from the DX version. The color dungeon was I've only actually if I'm not trying to be a poser here. I've only played the color version, so the color dungeon just took advantage of things like there were these like floor goblins that would like they would stay in the ground and be unattackable while they were on their own color pad, and then when they would chase you to an opposite colored pad or to a neutral colored pad, they would pop up and you could attack them. So they did show a little bit of that in the direct, and it looks good. It still looks really good even on the Switch. Obviously, as Audrey, formerly of IGN's, pointed out, that it's nothing super fancy or novel about color being toyed with in that way, but it's fun, it's cute, and it works. So those are some of the changes. There's a lot of returning stuff in there. We won't get into story or anything like that today. I do want to talk a lot, though, about the chamber dungeons. The chamber dungeons are looking super, super interesting. For Link Between Worlds, I didn't get that into some of the added content beyond, what was missing from the game world in A Link to the Past. For those of you that don't know, Link Between Worlds on 3DS was originally designed as a remake for A Link to the Past, but they made it a sequel instead. And in doing so, they obviously changed the quest lines up a lot. They changed the dungeons a little bit too. They weren't just one for one by any means. There were some differences, but with like the verticality of them especially. But they did add this cool the Tower of Hera, or what was it called in the Dark World? I don't remember what it's called in the Dark World, but the tower is like a pit of trials type area in A Link Between Worlds, and I liked that bonus content, but I didn't really like the Shadow Link versus mode that the old man, who was kind of the hero from A Link to the Past, I didn't really like his whole thing as much. The chamber dungeons, however, are super interesting because they basically are, as you clear the normal dungeons that are contained within the normal game, you unlock rooms, and these rooms kind of go into this compartment, this inventory in the chamber dungeon mode, where the rooms are categorized by like whether the room opens, to the north, east, west, or south, or has multiple openings or whatever. And then as you unlock more and more room types, you have access to these kind of like fill-in puzzles where you have to. If anybody's played Spider-Man on PS4, kind of those, not exactly like this, but kind of like those wire puzzles where you have to make stuff line up, and you can't have like certain things. You can't have like a door that opens that just runs into a wall. You have to have things line up correctly. But you can make these dungeon rooms. You don't get to do free enemy placement, free chest placement. They are preset rooms that exist from the campaign, but they can be randomized. They can be put together purposely by you in a puzzle fashion that to another player might look randomized, and you can have your friends play those dungeons I don't know that that's something you can do over the internet or whether it's something that somebody just coming to your house has to do. I think it's uploadable online. I didn't get clarification on that though. But regardless, every dungeon has to have an entrance, obviously, and then a nightmare, as they're calling it, or a boss fight. And then anything else goes. If you put a locked door, then you have to make sure there's a room that has a chest in it to open said locked door. So they make you create it in a way that's thoughtful and kind of an interesting puzzle to put it together, but also makes it functionable, serviceable to prospective players. Placing stairs within a room that has a staircase in it automatically creates subfloors and other floors. So that's really interesting. So you could make kind of a Tower of Hera, really, really tall and skinny dungeon or whatever. Well, potentially, I don't know. I really don't know what the possibilities are, but it seems like it could happen. And then if you have a dungeon that meets all the requirements, all the rooms line up nicely. There's a beginning, there's an end, there's a boss, there's keys to be collected and doors to be opened. Then completion of the dungeon is timed. So there's a lot of competition to do sort of some runs on some devious setups. Because of the creative and sort of editing ability of these dungeons, my hope is this is sort of the precursor. This will be my last bit of Link's Awakening speculation, but people have been talking a long time about, do we get Zelda Maker? Can we have Zelda Maker similar to Mario Maker? I think if this does well, the answer to that will most certainly be yes, where we'll be able to fully craft dungeons, place enemies where we want them to do, set queues for enemies to spawn, or, life force doors to lock and everything like that. We absolutely will be able to do that kind of stuff one day, I believe. Not in this game. In this game, it's preset. There might be rooms that have the life force doors and stuff like that on them. That I don't recall. They are just literally rooms that are lifted out of the dungeons that you complete and put into this sort of special mode. And if you beat everything and you have access to all the rooms, you can put things together however you want. It would be cool to see whether or not it looks like, from what I could see in the treehouse of this, that there's only a way to place down rooms to accommodate an entrance and one boss. That would be kind of cool if you could put like a labyrinth of rooms together where you could put a bunch of bosses in there as like a crazy boss rush. But again, the boss rooms are always shaped a certain way, so that's not going to happen. But anyway, excellent. Love Link to the Past. Love A Link Between Worlds. I'm sure I'm going to love Link's Awakening. Animal Crossing is next. Oh, and if I didn't say it, Link's Awakening is you know what? One thing I forgot about it really quick. So it's coming out September 20th. That's going to be excellent. That's likely going to conflict with anything else that comes out that time of year for me. And I did forget to mention it. This Chamber Dungeons mode does have amiibo support, where you can sort of put amiibo in. Different Zelda amiibo are functional with it to create new challenges and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I don't really do the amiibo thing really, but I appreciate that they're supporting it still on Switch. So let's move on to Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is just, again, a game that's so dear to my heart. I've played every entrance except for Animal Forest on the Nintendo 64, and of course they were very small, iterative changes, as I said in my pre-E3 sort of musings, predictions, whatever you want to call them. I am glad to say that despite being a little bummed that it got delayed from the sort of secret date drop they said back in one of the Smash Directs when they revealed Isabelle as a playable character. They did delay it to March 20th. That's another March one that I was referring to in one of my past videos. Animal Crossing New Horizons is the name of the game. It looks like the major shift in this one is crafting is now a huge element of the game, which I love the idea of. You're building the town from scratch. You're actually moving to a deserted island with Tom Nook. Tom Nook's got a green tent. You've got a yellow tent. If you hit rocks with your shovel now, little pieces of stone drop, so you can make improved tools, kind of a la cobblestone in Minecraft. You can chop trees, and if you don't chop them to the point that they fall down, they drop little bundles of wood that you can use in crafting, making campfires, making furniture, making tools. That's just and then there's a crafting bench that exists, and from some of the sizzle reel within the the announcement trailer, it looks like the town eventually does become fully built up and full of variety and different types of houses and different types of stores, and the stores get upgraded. This thing looks like it's got of a lot of legs to grow. I do think that there's a little part of me that was kind of hoping for a more of a variety in the post game as opposed, but the variety to make it your own thing and to have some the crafting element in there, I think is really cool. I was kind of feeling of two minds about it. Like, oh well, if they're gonna let you, if they're gonna if they're gonna make the journey such that you have to craft and scrounge from the wilderness to create your town, just to have a town that's exactly like the old Animal Crossing. So your end game is just the square one, or not literally, but like kind of the status quo of old Animal Crossing. That's okay. There's a little part of me that has some reservation about that. Like, oh well, I would hope the end game could be something more like more traveling or more things like that. Initially, when I saw this game, I actually thought that the town was going to be there and the camping thing because of what was going on with their success with Pocket Camp on the mobile platforms. I thought maybe that camping was just one of many possible destinations and they were going to start doing it as DLCs or something like that. Different locations you can visit. And hey, maybe that'll still happen in the DLC world. Certainly, this game looks like it's got a lot of content. I don't want to be greedy. I feel very grateful that they're putting out something that looks like a lot of fun. But maybe that's how they'll support the post game. You could go to different locations and do different types of outings and stuff like that. It is 8 players online, which is phenomenal. That looks like you can do quite a lot there. If you're doing locally, you can actually play locally now with all the 4 residents that live in your town. I don't know if they have 4 residents that max in this town, like in the other games. But however many residents that there can have, up to 4 can play, and so they can do this really interesting thing because each player, when you're playing local co-op, each player is on a shared screen, and the host has kind of a yellow flag floating sort of overhead, sort of a 2D looking little kind of yellow flag. And what's really interesting is only the host can enter and exit buildings and things like that. Only the host can pull up their inventory, but you can change who the host is on the fly. So like you could have somebody gathering some stone, somebody gathering some wood, somebody within an area. Like, hey, I'm going to get all this wood I can. I'm going to get all the stone I can. Other person, I'm going to till out a path and make a smooth path in this space for whatever we're planning. And then if the person that's been collecting stone needs to do something crafting wise, the person who was the host that was collecting wood can just flip their stuff over to them, and it's like a really fluid thing. There's like a little bit of a titration to it, like a little bit of a start and stop that doesn't quite make sense to me, or not doesn't make sense. It doesn't gel as well as what I'm used to playing multiplayer on the 3DS over the internet. It sounds like playing over the internet will be the very same as it used to be. You have your own inventory. You can wander into separate parts of the town where you're not together anymore and do your own things. But when you're doing the local co-op from people on the same town, that's really cool that they've added that element. That's a big shift. So Nook Incorporated is the new sort of brand, and Nook gives you airline miles, or I guess they just call them Nook miles for flying to the town, for doing different things, and these miles can be redeemed for points. And you can sell everything from weeds to branches to seashells, all the old stuff, but they actually seem like they bumped up the price of everything to make it rewarding to do that kind of maintenance process. So then you have like a smart device too. You have your little Animal Crossing human has a little smartphone that looks like it has some different functionality as far as crafting recipes, cooking. Looks like it's an element in this game, so there might be like a cooking and eating element in this game. Not like necessarily like a full survival thing. Like I didn't see anything on the UI that was like a hunger meter or anything like that. Just if there's like an enjoyable part of like it very much fits in the Animal Crossing jive for you to, let's say it's so and so's birthday. So if you get enough stuff to make them a cake and bring so and so a cake, right, it deepens the relationship. You get a little bonus, whatever. If you are able to have a party and put some stuff together for it with cooking, then the guests will have a better time or whatever. Cutesy stuff like that. So if there's cooking in there, that would be cool. If there's gardening in there besides flowers and trees, That would be cool. Like if you could grow different kinds of ingredients and vegetables and stuff, that would be excellent. Um, so yeah, that definitely seems like a fun time. Um, the last thing that I think that we have to get into is let's see, did we cover everything on Animal Crossing? I guess one thing I did forget to mention is you can put furniture outside. You can put furniture in places where you're able to you're able to actually not just drop it as a leaf outside. You're able to actually place furniture outside. It looks like there's a lot more outside furniture you can craft, like log benches and like yeah, like patio type furniture and stuff. It looks like there's a lot more of that outdoorsy type of stuff. So that's really cool. So it looks like you can decorate your outside much easier, I should say, than in past games where you'd have to become the mayor and collect public funds to commission a lamppost to be placed in a specific spot. It was fine, but it was kind of like, oh, like that would have been just cool if I could just put this lamppost in there, and if I get sick of it, I can pick up that lamppost and move it somewhere else. I don't have to have it like decommissioned, and I'll only have a certain maximum number of town structures. There were memory limitations on the 3DS. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track, but my point is, this looks like it could be something really fun. The last thing that we'll touch on is, my main prediction from E3, my biggest hope, my what I thought was a pipe dream came true in the form of a sequel, a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. I am so pumped about this. I don't have much to say. I've obviously looked in the some of the trailers, scrubbing and stuff that people have done. So what some of the paintings on the wall might be, whether some of it's puppet Ganon or whatever. We do see a trailer though of Zelda and Link. Zelda, it looks like a little bit of time has passed because Zelda's changed her look a little bit. They're under the castle in a crypt, and it looks like the corpse of Ganondorf the man. Whatever the case was that he in kind of the prelude in one of Kasa's songs in Breath of the Wild, kind of describes it's been so much time, so long, that Ganon has long transcended the need to become human and man and disguise himself like he does in many of the Anuma games. But maybe whatever those remnants of his body are, they're down there somewhere. His hair was quite long. I don't know if it's because he was, they do say your hair still continues to grow for time after you pass. It did have a very similar look to it, like Demise from Skyward Sword. So whether it was somehow his body had changed to look more like Demise, maybe it's not even his body. I don't know, but it does look like a Gerudo male mummy down underneath the crypts. And there are some synthwave, not synthwave, but some synthy sounds that are very reminiscent of the Twilight Realm, with his hand kind of reaching out of the ether, holding onto this corpse. It looked like Midna's hand, or it could have just been any Twilight. If it's been truly that many thousands of years, I don't know how time works in the Twilight Realm or whatever. So if it wasn't Midna, certainly it probably wasn't, because they were up to no good. They were causing lots of bad things to happen. But they sort of reanimate this corpse and all this spew that looks kind of like Calamity Ganon's bad juju, but like maybe a little bit different. I don't know. I'm just really fascinated with what's going on there. We didn't really get like a satisfying like face off with Ganondorf rather, in the Breath of the Wild finale. So maybe this will be our chance. Maybe this boss fight will be more akin to sort of like the DLC boss with the ancient monk, with the Sheikah monk in the Breath of the Wild Ballad of Champions expansions. Anyway, I don't know with the Twilight Realms involved. I don't know if this could have like a Twilight Reawakened kind of thing. There were Easter eggs of the Twilight Realm in this game, and I'm just hoping in the first game, I should say, I'm just hoping that there are some really cool beats coming up for us. And the game did honestly feel like it was very far off. I'm hopeful because they are using the same engine, using the same, lots of the same character elements from the main characters. Obviously, I want them to take their time, do a good job, but rather than waiting 5 or 6 or however many, 7, I think. Was it almost 7 years between the last two Zelda games? I think it was 6. I think 2011, and then was Skyward Sword, and then Breath of the Wild was 2017. in any case, maybe we'll get a new Zelda game in 3 years. So that would mean by next year. I don't think that's likely. Probably it's going to be a 2021 game. But hey, I'll take a new Zelda game in 4 years too, because that could be excellent. My main hopes for it, if they do put more, maybe they have some unused shrine ideas they're still going to put together. I hope that if they are going to continue to do shrines, they either have geographically kind of grouped shrine themes so that the shrines in such and such an area are very different looking and in style to shrines from another area. If the castle floating and moving from the ground means we're going to another location, or maybe we're gonna get a Twilight Realm version of the old overworld. Whatever we get, I'll be very happy with it. I just hope they do put out a good product, hopefully by 2021. But you know, this is E3. This is why we play video games. This is like Christmas to us. So I do appreciate your time. If you have listened to any or all of my thoughts, if you listen to all my thoughts, you probably have too much time. But if you listen to any of my thoughts, I appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell to get notifications, and check us out on Nerds on the Run for Twitter at @on_notor, NOTR. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day.